Okay, so as not to delay any further, I think we'll get started. We have the majority of our attendees with us already. So my name is Laura Egan O'Brien. I'm the Marketing Manager for the College of Engineering and Architecture here in UCD. A big welcome to all our attendees who are joining us for the session today. I hope you find it useful and that you learned something new or get some information that you were looking for out of today. This is our third webinar that we've had today as part of our Talk Graduate virtual webinar series this week. I'm going to be your host for this session, and it is mainly around programs within our School of Chemical and Bioprocess program. You will get a chance to hear from our head of school, Dr. Jessica Whelan. She's going to give a bit of an overview of the school and the program, specifically highlighting our degrees in biopharmaceutical engineering and also our professional certificate in cell and gene manufacturing, or manufacturing of cell and gene therapies and vaccines, and then we're going to have a bit of an intro to some students from our current students from our programs. We have Dhruv, who's doing our full-time Masters in Biopharmaceutical. He's originally from India, so he has an international student experience as well. And then we also have a current student from our part-time program in biopharmaceutical, Kate, who's also going to give us a bit of an intro to her journey so far as well. So just some housekeeping before we get started. The session is being recorded, so if you miss anything, have to leave early, or that you know anyone who's interested in the content but couldn't actually attend today, and we will pop the recording up on our college YouTube channel early next week. And my colleague Katie O'Neill, who's also joining us, is going to pop, or has popped up in the chat, the link to that YouTube channel, so you can check it out there, as I said, early next week. And there's also some other good content on our YouTube channel as far as past events we've run, some student testimonials and things like that you can also check out. If you have any questions today, the Q&A button, which is located in the control panel at the bottom of your screen, is there. So type your questions in there as they come to you, but we will leave it towards the end of the session to actually answer the questions today. But now's the chance to get any that you have answered. Then also, just to let you know, the email that you would have received from me with your link today to join the webinar would also have a link to our event landing page in it. If you haven't had a chance to check out the event landing page, it has some really good, useful additional information and additional links that you can have a look through in your own time. Things like links to our brochures for program information, things like a link to the UCD campus, a virtual campus tour if you've never been to campus and want to check it out. Also some things like our academic showcase, our alumni showcase and things like that. And my colleague Katie has also popped a link to that in the chat also. So without further ado, I think we'll get started. You've heard enough from me. So first up, as I mentioned, is Dr. Jessica Whelan, who is our head of school for chemical and bioprocess engineering. So Jessica, it's over to you.
Perfect, thanks. Just give me one moment and I'll just share some slides with the group. So can I just confirm maybe, Laura, that you can see the slides okay?
Yes, I can see them fine.
Perfect, great. So firstly, welcome everyone and thanks for your interest in our taught graduate offerings here in the School of Chemical and Bioprocess Engineering in UCD. So as Laura said, first off, I just want to give you a little bit of information about the school, you know, where we are, what size we are, what we do and so on. And then I'll speak to a number of our taught graduate programs or offerings. So the School of Chemical and Bioprocess Engineering is the oldest, largest and highest ranked chemical engineering school in Ireland. So we're actually approaching our 70th anniversary. That's coming up in 2026. So over that time, we've had over kind of 1,500 graduates come through our school. So we're very proud of our history, and most of our graduates go on to work in industry. So what that means is that our school has very strong ties with industry throughout Ireland and internationally. To give you an idea of scale, we have 16 full-time academic members of staff. We also have additional, we'll say, adjunct professors, part-time academics, and also a lot of our graduates who've gone on to industry come back and help us deliver our programs to give a good industry perspective into our number of programs. We're very active in research. So currently we've about 18 research fellows, you know, over 40 PhD students working in our school in our various research programs. They're supported by 6 technical staff. At any given time, we have approximately 130 undergraduates taking our chemical and bioprocess engineering degrees. And we typically have about 40 to 45 taught graduates active in the area of our biopharma masters and other programs. So again, maybe to kind of give you an idea of where folk go after they study with us. So we have very happy, good-looking students who kind of come through our ranks. And, you know, to give you an idea, the programs that we have developed really are focused on addressing the needs of industry and society. And it's generally fairly kind of applicable to a large number of process sectors. So we have our graduates primarily based in the biopharma and pharma sectors, but also many of our students go on to take up roles within the chemical industry, within engineering consulting, and then often in other, we'll say, more peripheral disciplines such as business, the public sector, and even into kind of food and drink. To date, about 70% of our graduates have remained in Ireland, about 10% have emigrated then to the UK, about 10% to the US, about 5% to the EU, and then about 5% are in other parts of the world. Having said that, within Ireland at the moment, the pharma and biopharma sectors are extremely vibrant. So these numbers, if you like, represent the cumulative, I suppose, location, if you like, of our students over a large number of years. But if we to look at the years for the last, you know, maybe kind of 5 to 10 years, more than 50% of our undergraduate students and the vast majority of our taught graduate students progress to roles within the pharma and biopharma industry. So, you know, just to speak to that, you know, the majority of our taught graduate programs are focused on equipping students with the skills needed to take up roles to support biopharmaceutical development and manufacturing. And really where that came about is that biopharmaceuticals are a very significant aspect of the Irish economy. So if we look across Ireland, all 10 of the world's top 10 pharma companies are actually represented here within the country. There's more than 75 pharmaceutical companies based here with over 23 biomanufacturing sites. So there is, you know, really a lot of activity and a lot of opportunity for graduates coming out with the skills that this industry needs. There is continued strong investment in the area. So, you know, you may or may not have seen, you know, news headlines speaking to Lilly recently announcing a €1 billion investment in Limerick. But this is one of many. So over the last decade, more than 12 billion has been invested in building new facilities in the country. So we have more than 30,000 employed in the sector, and it produces in excess of 50 billion in exports every year. So, you know, it really is a thriving industry here in Ireland. Some of the recent kind of interesting developments has been WuXi developing a single-use facility for vaccines that was valued at over 300 million. We have Myra GTX, which is a gene therapy company that's recently set up in Shannon, and many sites and companies who already have presences here are continuing to expand. So like Lilly that I mentioned in Limerick and so on. So as a result, as I mentioned, a lot of our graduates, both undergrad and postgraduate, do go on to take up roles in this industry here in Ireland. So coming then maybe to the specific programs that you might be interested in. So the first I'm going to speak to is professional certificate in the manufacturing of cell and gene therapies and vaccines. So the professional certificate is primarily focused on new emerging modalities. So particularly cell and gene therapies and novel vaccines that are starting to come to market. So it's a really active area with, you know, over 1,000 clinical trials currently in progress. Ireland has a really strong track record of manufacturing for biopharmaceuticals and are well positioned in order to capitalize on the opportunity that are presented by these new modalities. So this is a new program that we've developed that's really looking to equip students in order to take advantage of the opportunities that are coming in this sector. So it's primarily looking at students who are currently working within the pharma and biopharma sectors and are interested in developing their knowledge of the cell and gene therapy space so that they can move into those areas and opportunities as they arise. The course is 15 credits, so it's comprised of 3 modules. There is one module that focuses on cell therapy technologies and processing, a second module that focuses on gene therapy and vaccine technologies and processing, and then a third that looks specifically at GMP, or good manufacturing practice, of the manufacture of advanced therapeutics. So really, as a whole, the course is focused on building students' fundamental understanding of the science and technology that underpins the cell, gene, and vaccine therapies that we're interested in, and also then looks at the specific challenges and innovations that are needed to deliver these advanced therapeutics. The course is delivered by a number of faculty members here within the school. So Professor Niall Barron, who's also involved with NIBRT, which is our National Institute of Biotech Research and Training, Associate Professor Susan MacDonald, myself, Jessica Whelan, and one of my other colleagues here in the school, Dr. Daniela Boone. The module is also delivered by a number of industry experts. So we have, a variety of case studies and opportunities to meet folk actually kind of working in industry who can give you also, that firsthand experience and information on what it actually means to produce them in a regulated environment. The program is offered in hybrid format, so you have the option to attend in-person lectures on the UCD campus or to study remotely. The lectures are scheduled on Friday evenings between 2 and 6 p.m. over the spring trimester, so that's a 12-week period running from mid-January to late April. And the assessments are continuous in nature and designed to accommodate working people. So, again, the majority of students undertaking this course are also working full-time jobs. So we appreciate the challenges associated with that and design the program accordingly. The next program that I was going to introduce is our Masters in Engineering Science in Biopharmaceutical Engineering in the part-time format. So Kate will speak to her experience as a student on this program, but just for now, I'll give you an overview of the program as it stands. So Professor Niall Barron is our program director. This is a part-time course that has been running since 2006. So it's developed as a standalone course that runs for 2 years. Again, it runs on Fridays from 2 to 6 p.m. to accommodate students who have full-time jobs in attending. It's suitable for folk with a background in science and engineering, currently working in the pharmaceutical or biopharmaceutical industry, or who are looking to move into that sector. And we run it in cooperation with NIBRT and a number of industry subject matter experts. So, for example, the laboratories that are undertaken as part of the programme are actually held in NIBRT in their state-of-the-art facilities. To date, we've had over 130 graduates who are employed nationally and internationally, and Kate can obviously speak to her experience, but we have gotten good feedback from our graduates from the course that it has kind of stood them in good stead. So what would you actually study? So the part-time program structure is split over 2 years. So in year 1, you undertake modules in both the autumn and spring trimesters. So the modules that you're looking at are modules such as biotechnology and biopharma, animal cell culture, principles of biopharma engineering, downstream processing and laboratories, as well as some modules in common with the professional cert in cell and gene therapy, in order to give a flavour and insight into the new and emerging modalities. Year 2, it's actually undertaken over 3 trimesters. So again, autumn and spring, you undertake modules, and in year 2, they cover topics such as facility design, bioanalytical science, the regulatory aspect of the industry, scale up and tech transfer, and so on. But then you take an additional trimester. So over the summer, students undertake a project in conjunction with their company. So this is a research project that they undertake on a topic that's relevant to them within their role within the company and is aligned with their interests. And really that's the capstone of the program, which allows the student the opportunity to pull together their learnings from all the modules into one final project. Within the program, there is the opportunity for what we call recognition of prior learning, or RPL. So in some instances, students may be eligible to apply for RPL for items or modules such as the bioprocessing laboratories, or additional modules if they already have significant experience that they've acquired over their role in industry. So that obviously kind of lessens the study requirement to gain the master's. The final program then that I'm going to speak to today is the full-time version of the Master's in Biopharmaceutical Engineering. So Susan MacDonald is the program director for this program. So the Biopharmaceutical Engineering full-time program has been running since 2010. We have over 200 graduates to date who are employed both nationally and internationally. It's suitable for anyone with a background in science, it's running on, in science and engineering, with BTECs or BEs. To give you an idea, the class is typically about 20 to 25 students in size, and the split is typically about 40% EU and maybe 60% non-EU. Graduates from this program have gone on recently to take up jobs in companies such as Pfizer, Regeneron, BioMarin, BMS, Merck, which are known who are known as MSD in Europe, Alexion, Wuxi, and then some of the engineering consultancies such as Jacobs and the PM Group. The program delivery is based here within the school, but also in cooperation with NIBRT. So, you know, similar to the other programs, you'll have laboratories that take place in the NIBRT facility. And lectures here then within the School of Chemical and Bioprocess Engineering. The program is, sorry, apologies, there's timing on this that's running on. The program is 90 credits, which comprises of 12 lecture modules, which sums to 60 credits, and then a significant research or design project of 30 credits that's taken over the summer. The modules are a mix of scientific and industrial content, and recently have been revised to include modules relevant for the new emerging modalities in the cell and gene therapy and vaccine space. So in the autumn trimester, the program that will be running in, we'll say, September 2023 is comprised of modules, again, around things like animal cell culture, facility design, analytics, data analytics, and regulation as core. And then students can choose one of apologies with these slides, one of a number of options. So either the principles of biopharmaceutical engineering or biotechnology and biopharma, depending on their background. So for students who do not have a background in engineering, they have an opportunity to learn about the basics in the principles of biopharma engineering. And for students with less background in biotechnology and proteins and so on, the biotechnology and biopharma module will give greater insight there. In the spring trimester, again, the core modules cover downstream processing, research methodologies, the NIBRT-based bioprocessing laboratories, and there's a bioprocess design project that's undertaken as a group. And then students have an option to choose one or two of three modules. So there are options around bioprocess scale-up and tech transfer, and then also options looking at these newer modalities around gene therapy and the manufacture of advanced therapeutics. Over the summer trimester, students undertake a 30-credit project, and they have a choice. So you can choose either to undertake a research project or a design-based project. So really it depends on a student's interests, and at best we accommodate students in line with their preference. Okay, so that's everything I had. So Laura, I'll just pass back to yourself.
Great, thank you so much, Jessica. That's really great insights into the courses and the differences kind of between them all. So next up we have is our current student for our full-time program in biopharmaceutical engineering, Druv. So he's going to give you a bit of an insight into his experience and what the journey for him has been so far.
Thank you, Laura. I hope I'm audible right now.
You are, yes, we can hear you.
Yeah. So hello guys, my name is Dhruv Menon and I'm a full-time master's student at biopharmaceutical engineering here at the School of Chemical and Bioprocess Engineering. So a little about myself, I did my undergraduate in biotechnology, and right after I graduated, I knew I had to do my master's because that's a normal norm in my family. I knew I had to do my master's, but I wasn't sure what to do in. So luckily I landed a gig in a biopharmaceutical startup where I worked as a medical research associate. And that pretty much cemented my idea of doing my master's in biopharmaceuticals. So now coming to why I chose UCD and the benefits it has on my career. So everyone basically knows now that Ireland is the biopharmaceutical hub of the world right now. And it's the hub right now, and it has immense opportunities for fresh graduates as well as experienced professionals in the healthcare industry. So my thought process basically was that I need to get into the top university in the country so that I have a good exposure to the overall market. And that's why I tried applying to UCD, and luckily I got in, because I always feel that you are the group that you are. You are the person, the group you belong to. Therefore, I always wanted a group of ambitious people around me. And that's what I actually found here at UCD. And to be completely honest, I see my master's course as an opportunity to network and learn from one of the leading industry experts who are technically our professors over here. So it has been a very good experience because along with learning about modules, very important and relevant modules, you get to learn a lot from the experience in that 2-hour lectures that we have weekly. So it has been a very nice experience to say, because I remember we had a module this semester called Regulatory Affairs, and we had CMC directors from MSD and Regeneron coming in. We also had a module last semester, which was Facility Design and Operation, which was undertaken by Dr. John Mills, who is the bioprocessing training director at NIBRD. And NIBRD is something that Ms. Jessica just explained to us in the previous slides. So it's kind of a big deal because you get to interact and stay connected with so many influential people for the 1 year that you're here right now. So it has been a very good experience. So other than that, talking about my college experience, I mean, I could say it has been phenomenal because it's exactly what you expect out of a top-notch university. Basically, people are amazing, and Dublin is a very nice place to live in because I've lived around different cities in the world. And to be honest, this is the safest place I've ever been. So it's like a plus. Other than that, I think I speak for all international students who are coming to a foreign university. Although we never admit it, we do have the fear of not fitting in and feeling out of place when you arrive at a new university. But I feel the orientation week was so well planned. It made me feel like home instantly. That's what I feel when I got here. So the transition in general has been very smooth for me so far. Other than that, talking about the modules and the faculty members, I mean, the lectures are really strategically laid out throughout the week. So you have enough time to study as well as like complete all of those rigorous assignments that are due. The lectures are actually fun and interactive. I mean, there we have a few modules in which we have a quiz in the end where there's a question popped out on the screen in front of us, and we log on to our phones, and it's like a game that we do after every lecture. So it's one of these tricks that help you keep up top during the lecture and keep you motivated throughout the session, which is something I really like because it doesn't make you feel bored in those 2 hours. Other than that, what I genuinely love in this college is the student professor relationship. This is something very new to me. I know it's very common everywhere else, but the the idea of addressing students and professors on their first name basis, I know it's a very small thing, but I never experienced it before. But somehow it releases a lot of inhibition and creates an ideal learning environment. That's what I noticed, because I feel the professors who, in spite of being so busy with their own schedule, take out time to answer all your queries, because we have a module right now which is bioprocess design, and I know the number of times I've involved my professor in my queries, and he was always happy to help me out. This is something I really like, the student professor relationship. Other than that, the modules are also very well relevant to the industry standards as of now. And to point out a particular module, we have downstream processing this semester, and we have 4 different experts as professors for that module. So can you imagine the amount of perspective that you gain having 4 different experts helping you out? So, I mean, the teaching is amazing over here. The modules are relevant. And what actually drew me to this course was the ability to choose between a research or a design project in the summer trimester. That's what actually got me interested, because you could either work under a professor at NIBERT or UCD and complete a thesis, or if you're not interested, you could always opt for the design project, which I am doing currently, in which we technically lay out the entire schematic for the manufacturing of a product. So it involves cost analysis, material energy balances, then process flow diagrams, everything. So this is what actually drew me. So I'm pretty much happy with it. And other than that, before I head out, I mean, a last piece of advice would be to be open to all the opportunities that come your way. There are a lot of clubs and activities going around the campus all year round. So I would just say, just sign up for them, because each sign up is a networking opportunity for you, and it always helps you in the future. And other than that, I would say start your house hunt as soon as possible, because I'm not saying you would go homeless around here, but it's always nice to start early. So if you're planning to come to Dublin, start your house hunt as soon as possible. That's it for me. Yeah. And if you guys have any questions, you could put it in the Q&A or just hit me up on LinkedIn whenever you feel like. That's it.
Great. Thank you so much, Drove. That was really interesting. And I think for any international attendees who are listening in and potentially wanting to study in Ireland from another country, some great insights there. So next up we have is Kate, who, as I said at the start, is currently currently studying with us for the biopharmaceutical program, but the part-time version. So Kate, if you want to introduce yourself again.
Yeah, my name is Kate, and I'm going to be speaking about my experience studying the biopharmaceutical engineering part-time, while also in employment in the biopharmaceutical industry. So currently I'm working as a bioprocess operator in technical projects for VLE Therapeutics in Cherrywood. But I've previous experience working in companies such as Allergan, Grifols, BMS, and Avantor. And I've had experience in a few different areas within the industry. So I've worked in operations, I worked in upstream cell culture, in aseptic fill finish, and also doing instrumentation and checks in kind of an instrumentation engineering role. So I originally chose to complete a master's because I felt that my experience was a little bit too varied and I didn't really know what direction I wanted to head in. I had a lot of practical experience in things like cell culturing, but I hadn't a lot of scientific knowledge on it because my undergraduate was in physics, so it wasn't really taught to me how to culture cells. When I was looking for a master's, I was really interested in finding something that would have like an overall view of the entire industry or what a bioprocessing facility would have. So I chose this particular course because of the overall view that they gave. We have your operations modules in terms of bioprocessing and the upstream and downstream modules. You also got some engineering modules when it comes to CVQ and facility design. And there was tech transfer as well as industry regulations. And I felt like all of those modules would give me a really good idea of where I wanted to go in the industry, having like learned all about them. And it really helped me to get a better understanding of the different departments while I was still working with them. For me, because I already had a few years experience, it made a lot more sense to do the part-time so I could continue working and continue to have experience and gain experience in GMP facility. I was worried at the time that if I chose the part-time masters and I was working and I wanted to change roles or change jobs, that this would be a problem or it would be more difficult for me to find a job. But I actually found the complete opposite, and the majority of companies were really keen on me studying and they were very interested in supporting me through my studies. They saw a very clear benefit to having their workers have better understandings and be more qualified. So I was really surprised, but I was very glad because it just made everything a lot like easier for me. The biggest benefit I saw in terms of my own working was that immediately I felt like I had a better understanding of everything that was going around me and not just my own department. When a biopharmaceutical company, you work with every department. You're never just, you spend a lot of time with your team, but you're always interacting with people from engineering or quality, QC. There's all these interactions and there's a lot of that interdepartmental work. And immediately I just felt like I had a much better understanding of what the other departments were trying to do, why they were trying to do it, as well as like I found that I could ask better questions to help like resolve issues or solve problems because I knew a bit more about the department I was working with. I found that I was able to push towards more projects that I was interested in, simply because I could say to my manager or to the project leader that, well, actually, I've been studying this in my course and I'm really interested in it and I would like to be part of it and to learn a bit more. So I moved pretty much very soon after I started. I was able to be involved in projects that I hadn't been involved in previously. I'm now part of tech transfer and MPI on the operations side, and it's really kind of pushed forward my career in that way. And a really big thing, and I think Drew spoke about this as well, that I found really interesting was the benefit of the networking. When I started we were all in the classroom, we all do our introductions, and your classmates are people who were working in Pfizer and MSD, BMS, and you build these connections with people in different companies, and you get to learn a lot more about what's going on in those companies. As well as that, a lot of your lecturers are from different companies, right? A lot of your lecturers will also have been from different companies. So we had lecturers from MSD and Nibert, and people who have a lot of industry experience to help you. They've also been incredibly accommodating for people who are in full-time employment. So they're very understanding and helpful, and they're ready to answer your questions. Thank you. Sorry, I'm gonna.
Great. Thank you so much, Kate. I think, yeah, for anyone who's considering this as a part-time program, knowing the considerations that the course and the program is able to give you for still working full-time, I think is really great. So that's all our speakers we have for today. So we do have some time for some questions. So if anyone has any questions, if you want to type them in, as I said at the start, using the Q&A button, which is located in the control panel at the bottom of your screen. And I also know that my colleague Katie has got some private messages from people as well. So I'll read out those questions as well, and we can get through as many of them as we can. So I'm just going to pop it into gallery mode so everyone can see everyone. And then Katie, some of the questions that Katie got through was, well, to Kate, if you're okay to answer, we might skip you if you need a second. Kate, did you find the balance between work and the program manageable? And how is the, oh, sorry, yeah, we'll just go with that one first, sorry. Did you find the balance between working full-time and then the course itself manageable, or did you find that difficult, or some of the tips that you could give people who were maybe considering it?
It's definitely like a challenge, especially when you first start. You're going to find it difficult to like prioritize being in school again, especially if you go back. I found that difficult going back into college was a change. But like I said, that everyone in the staff have been so like understanding, and they're so accommodating. They give us really good advance warnings of assignments. So it's not like you get the assignment in this 1 week. Usually we're told all of the assignments we're going to have and their due dates ahead of time. So you can really kind of get the time to plan that. So I haven't found it that difficult at all.
Great. And then Jessica, I might give this one to you. It's just, how's the school at keeping modules in this program on track and relevant to what's going on in industry today? I know you touched on it a little bit, but I think people are really interested.
Yeah, no, definitely. So as I said, like the school has really strong links with industry. So, you know, we have academic staff who have had, you know, significant periods of their time in industry. So for myself, I actually joined the faculty here 3 years ago after, you know, 10 plus years in various management roles in pharma and biopharma industry. But I'm one of, you know, multiple people on the faculty with, we'll say, hands-on industry experience. But also, as I said, you know, we're lucky our graduates have gone on to have great careers in pharma and biopharma. And they're very willing to come back and continue to contribute to the school and to contribute to, you know, developing students. So, you know, I think Drew did a great job speaking to us that, you know, you have people coming in who are like expert and presenting, you know, the reality of what they're working on and how they're working on it, you know, day to day. So that very much helps to keep it current. I suppose additionally, the school is committed, you know, to reviewing the program as a whole on an ongoing basis. So I did reference that, you know, there are kind of new and emerging therapeutic modalities coming out. So, you know, cell and gene therapy. So folk might have heard of things like AAV vectors or CAR-T therapies for cancer treatment and so on. And as they emerge, we very much look to, you know, update our program as we go to make sure that students have the opportunity to be exposed to those aspects. So, you know, I suppose by having the the kind of constant industry input and, industry people delivering, elements of our course, as well as that ongoing review. We do make sure to keep it very kind of current and relevant to industry's needs.
Great. I'm sure that's a good comfort to anyone tuning in who's considering the programs. And then just, Jessica, we'll stick with you. It's just how many years of experience are you looking at for students to have, or what's typical of years experience for students on the part-time version?
Yeah, so on the part-time version, like, to be honest, we've had people take up our part-time version with anything from about 0 to 20 years experience, so it's a really broad range. So we have had some folk who, maybe they very recently joined a company and, they're moving into, let's say, a biopharmaceutical role, and, their science background is very relevant, but just needs a bit of maybe kind of fine tuning. So, with the support of their company, they'll come to, kind of get that support. Kind of right the way up to, we'll say, maybe kind of relatively senior managers in pharma and biopharma who might, again, be moving from a small molecule pharma-based role to a biopharmaceutical role. And again, they're just looking to, get that understanding and that foundational kind of knowledge to support them in making that move. So, it can be very broad across the part-time. I would say probably the most normal is probably anywhere from maybe 2 to 7 years experience. So I think kind of Kate spoke to it, a lot of folk within industry look at the part-time masters as a way to, kind of develop their career, to give them clarity about maybe, kind of what direction they'd like to focus on kind of for themselves, and, to give them tools to go and have those conversations with their managers and be able to put their hands up for the projects that they, really want to go after. So, 2 to 7 is normal, but, it's been very broad.
Great. And then for students who may be interested in the full-time version, obviously you'll take students from a couple of different backgrounds. This student in particular is a biology student, but do you find that the students are getting on okay if they're coming from different backgrounds, and that they have enough of a introduction to those kind of modules they may have not done in their undergrad?
Yeah. So again, as I spoke to it, the program is designed to be suitable for students coming from a range of backgrounds, in the kind of scientific and engineering spaces. So, for example, for students with a biology background in the autumn trimester, they probably have a very good understanding of what would be in the option module around biotechnology and biopharmaceuticals already. But, they might have, kind of knowledge that they need to acquire in the engineering space. So in that case, we'd be advising them to take the principles of biopharmaceutical engineering module and so on. So there is I suppose, flexibility within some of those options to try and, address the different needs that folk coming from different backgrounds will have. And additionally, like the faculty we have here, and again, Drew did a fantastic job talking to it, but, we are very committed to the students, looking to help support them. So, we generally operate an open door policy. You can come down and knock on the door of, whoever your faculty member is delivering a module, and, just ask the question and get a little bit of kind of one-to-one support if, there's something that is proving a little bit tricky. So, we have had good success across that kind of range of backgrounds and disciplines with students.
Great. And then we have another attendee who's actually going to be a student with us in autumn 2023 for the full-time program of biopharmaceutical engineering. And they were just asking you around, I suppose you talked about the newer modules that have been introduced. This person interested in cell and gene therapy. Are those modules as part of the curriculum, are they optional? Are they, ones that they have to select themselves, or how does that work?
Yeah. So the cell and gene therapy modules run in the spring trimester, and for the incoming students, so for the student who will be starting in September, in the spring trimester, they can choose 2 of 3 options, and that pool of 3 options that they choose from, one is in gene therapies and vaccines, and one is in the manufacture of these advanced therapies. So they can choose one or both of those options as part of the program. So they're kind of built into the program structure, but they, have some flexibility about which ones they select.
Great. And then obviously, because they're part of the curriculum now, someone was asking if they did start the professional certificate as a, to start, can they then go on to do the MSc at the end of it?
Yeah, they can. So I referenced it in relation to the part-time masters, but the recognition of prior learning is actually a facility that applies across all the programs. So if you've undertaken modules as part of the professional certificate, you can then, bring those credits forward with you, if you want to put it like that, if you were to undertake the masters in the biopharmaceutical engineering and build on them. So you'd get the credit for them without having to take them a second time.
Great. And then we might just go to Drove, for yourself, because you're doing the full-time program. Someone was asking about campus placements and job scopes after completion of the course. So obviously there's no internship embedded as part of the curriculum in these programs because they're 1-year programs or 2-year part-time programs. But have you found that there's good career supports available to you as a student in UCD while you're doing a master's?
Yeah, exactly. That's what I mean. When you join in as a student, your main focus should be on networking, because the application for jobs start as soon as you start. Because I remember I started in August, and there are graduate programs of companies that start their application in the month of August itself for the next August. So for me, when I applied for my graduate program, that was back in August, it was supposed to start in the coming August. So that's what I'm saying. I mean, as soon as you get here, it's get go from the moment that you get here. I mean, you need to start applying, you need to talk to people, you need to have that network created around you so that you are aware of all the opportunities that get in your way. And other than that, I mean, like I said, all the professors, all the experts that help you out with your modules are industry experts and they work in the industry. So you have the upper hand of knowing what's going on in the industry before it gets out, before the job gets out as a post. So I just feel that once you get here, once you start networking, you'll have an upper hand in the job market. And like I said, there are numerous opportunities for freshers as well as people with professional experience. So I think it won't be an issue. I mean, you just have to do your own part, and everything else is provided by the university.
Great, thank you so much. Katie, if you're there, I might ask you there's 2 final questions, more from an administrative point of view. Just a student was asking around course registration or kind of other details that they're going to be getting as they progress to us, kind of for starting the term in September, and then also around the admissions process. Someone specifically asking around the selection criteria, or is it random selection?
Okay, so just with regards to the first question around registration, so I'm going to pop our email addresses in, so you can always reach out to us directly. However, with regards to registration, if you have an offer or a conditional offer at the moment, you can accept that to receive a full acceptance or a conditional acceptance, and then you can satisfy the conditions at any point in the run-up to the start of the program. There will be a session that will be held for you before the academics start. So towards the middle to end of August, you'll receive an email, and that's going to outline a number of things. It's going to outline when there is the welcome session, both at a college level and at a program level. And that will take place probably about a week before your actual academic start. The second thing you'll receive is information on when you can register for your modules, and we can support you through that process. So you'll get a time and a date from which you can log on to activate and select your modules. So that's how the registration starts, but if it doesn't answer your question, please send me an email. The second question was with regards to,
I suppose, the application process. Someone's asking specific criteria relating, or is it random selection?
Yeah, so there is, for every program we have, and speaking specifically around the School of Chemical and Bioprocess Engineering, there are minimum entry requirements. And if you go onto the graduate studies page, again, I'll pop a link in a moment, you can go to the specific course you're looking at. So if it's the biopharmaceutical engineering or if it's chemical engineering, you'll see that we are looking for certain criteria to be satisfied in terms of your entrance to that particular program. If you're an international student, in addition to the academic side, there will be the English language requirement. Again, that can be satisfied at any point beyond up to the start date of your actual program.
Great. Thank you so much, Katie. So Katie said she'll pop up a couple of links there. So while she's doing that, we have time for maybe one last question before we finish up. We've run slightly over time, but someone was asking, is it better to have prior industrial experience before starting the master's program? So Jessica, I don't know if you wanted to speak to that.
Yeah, no, so I suppose, as I said, we've had students who come, we'll say into the full-time, many come directly from their undergrad program. So, they wouldn't have prior industrial experience. In the part-time, I'd say the majority of folk probably have a couple of years industrial experience, coming into us, because as much as anything, normally you have to, I suppose, build, if you like, time with your employer if you're looking for them to, kind of support you with regard to costs and time off to, to undertake the course. But really, the programs are designed that, if you come in without industrial experience, you will be able to kind of progress through the course. It's not a prerequisite at all to undertake it.
Great, thank you so much. We've come to the end of our webinar. We've kind of run over time a little bit, so we're going to finish it there. I think we got through most of the questions everyone had. Katie is popping up some links there, so you can follow up with us afterwards if you need further information. But thank you to all our speakers for joining us, sharing your experience and about the programs. And thank you to all our attendees who have also joined us today. Enjoy the rest of your day. Bye.